Alex buys a rental property. Daniel invests the same money into index funds. They both believe they made the smarter move. They're both wrong, because one of them ignored the hidden workload and the other underestimated the power of compounding. And when you actually run the numbers over 20 years, the result isn't what most people expect. Let's make this fair. Alex and Daniel both start with $60,000. They both earn around $60,000 a year. Same age, same city, same opportunities. The only difference is what they do with that money. Alex uses his $60,000 as a down payment on a $300,000 rental property, a decent house in an average neighborhood. He locks in a 30-year mortgage at around 7%. His monthly payment lands close to $1,600. He finds a tenant willing to pay $2,100 a month. On paper, that's $500 in monthly profit before expenses. Alex feels like he just hacked the system. Daniel takes the same $60,000 and invests it into a total market index fund. No leverage, no tenants, no calls. He sets up an automatic investment of $400 per month and then does something most people can't do. He ignores it. At work, people ask Alex about his property. He has stories, numbers, opinions. Daniel says index funds and the conversation ends there. On day one, Alex looks like the winner. He has something real, something visible, something impressive. Daniel just has a number on a screen, and that difference matters more than people think, because investing is emotional before it's mathematical. For the first few years, Alex feels like he made the perfect decision. Rent shows up every month. He drives past his property and thinks that is mine. He talks about appreciation, tax benefits, passive income. Everything about it feels like progress. Daniel logs into his account once every few months. Year one, his $60,000 becomes maybe $66,000. Year two, $72,000. Nothing dramatic, no excitement, no story, just slow movement. And that's where most people lose. Because slow feels like failure. But here's what's happening underneath. Alex's numbers look strong on the surface. $500 a month in profit. But that number isn't real, because it ignores everything that comes next. Property taxes take a chunk every year. Insurance increases over time. Maintenance shows up when you least expect it. A broken appliance, a plumbing issue, a roof leak. Some years it's small, other years it's thousands. Then there's vacancy. Even one empty month wipes out an entire chunk of income. And if a tenant leaves, you're paying to clean, repair, and relist. Alex decides to manage everything himself to save money, which means late-night calls, weekend visits, and constant small problems that never fully go away. After all real costs, his actual profit is nowhere near $500 a month. It's inconsistent, unpredictable, and it costs him time. Daniel, meanwhile, is still doing nothing. But something is starting to shift. Because compounding doesn't feel powerful at the beginning. It feels invisible, until it doesn't. By year 5, Daniel's portfolio has crossed 6 figures. Not because of luck, because the growth is starting to stack on itself. His money is now generating returns that are starting to matter. Alex's property has also gone up in value, maybe from $300,000 to $340,000. That increase looks impressive. And this is where real estate has its biggest advantage. Leverage. Alex controlled a large asset with a relatively small amount of money. And when prices rise, that amplifies his returns. But leverage cuts both ways. If the market slows or drops, the pressure is still there. The mortgage doesn't care about market conditions. Daniel doesn't have that pressure, but he also doesn't have the same visible growth early on. So the paths feel very different. Alex feels active, in control, involved. Daniel feels passive, bored, detached. But over time, the math starts to separate them. By year 10, Alex has built significant equity. His property is now worth around $400,000. His loan balance has decreased. On paper, his net worth has grown, but he's also dealt with years of maintenance, tenant turnover, rising costs, and unpredictable cash flow. He spent time, energy, attention. Daniel's portfolio with consistent contributions and average returns is now approaching similar numbers. But the difference is how it grew. No tenants, no repairs, no interruptions, just consistency. And now the curve is changing. Because compounding doesn't grow in a straight line. It grows in acceleration. The first years feel slow. The later years feel unfair. By year 15, Daniel's portfolio is growing faster every single year. The gains are now larger than his contributions. His money is doing more work than he is. Alex is still managing a property, still dealing with issues, still tied to a physical asset in one location. His wealth is real, but it's not flexible, it's not liquid, and it's not effortless. By year 20, both of them have built serious wealth. Alex owns a property worth maybe $500,000. His mortgage is nearly gone. He has rental income. Daniel's portfolio has reached a similar range, maybe $450,000 to $550,000 depending on returns. But here's the difference no one talks about. Alex worked for his returns. Daniel let time work for his. Alex took on risk concentrated in one property. Daniel spread his risk across thousands of companies. Alex dealt with stress, unpredictability, and ongoing responsibility. Daniel dealt with volatility, but nothing that required his time. And this is where most people misunderstand investing. They think it's about choosing the better asset. Real estate versus stocks, active versus passive. But that's the wrong question. The real question is this: what are you optimizing for? Maximum returns, minimum effort, lower stress, higher control. Because every strategy has trade-offs, real estate can outperform, but it demands time, effort, and tolerance for problems. The stock market is simpler, but it requires patience, discipline, and the ability to ignore short-term noise. And here's the part most people miss. Small changes make a massive difference. If Daniel simply increased his monthly investment by a few $100s, his final outcome changes dramatically. Because compounding multiplies consistency. In real estate, scaling usually means more properties, more debt, more complexity, more time. In the market, scaling is just increasing contributions, no additional workload, just more fuel for the same system. But this isn't about saying one is better than the other. Both can work, both can fail. The real mistake is choosing without understanding the full picture. Most people choose based on what looks impressive, what feels exciting, what sounds good in a conversation, not what actually works for their life. Because numbers without context are dangerous. A rental property can look profitable on paper and still underperform after real costs. An index fund can look boring and still quietly outperform over time. The truth is simple. Wealth isn't about the asset you pick. It's about how well that asset fits your behavior, your time, your risk tolerance, your consistency. Because the best investment isn't the one with the highest potential return. It's the one you can stick with for 20 years. So the next time someone tells you one strategy always wins, ask them one question. Did you count everything? The time, the stress, the risk, the opportunity cost. Because once you include everything, the answer becomes very different. And that's the answer that actually matters.